I first got interested in butterfly farming sort of indirectly. I have a background in conservation and rural development, and I've always seen conservation as pretty much a bottom line issue. It's a question of making conservation economically viable. If the forest is worth more dead than alive, the forest is going to go. It's going to go to timber, it's going to go to pasture. So I've been working for years with conservation organizations and as a consultant, both with private organizations and companies, trying to demonstrate that protecting the environment, conservation are actually profitable, that they're actually good bottom line issues. And after years of working advising other people on what they should do, I decided it was time to try to do something myself, and had contact with a few people that were working with butterflies and started exploring the possibility of raising butterflies, a way of actually putting into practice some of the things that I've been preaching for a while. And what better way to do it than working with a native species, a series of native species like butterflies that are often overlooked and actually can be a profitable alternative and actually depend on maintaining the forest intact. So actually it wasn't because I had a strong background in butterflies to begin with, but it was more looking for a tool that would in some way contribute to conserving the forest. The butterflies that we raise here in the farm are all Heliconius species, known as longwings. They're species that are native to Ecuador, very showy, lovely butterflies, varied, and they have the peculiarity of all feeding on different members of the passion flower family, which are also lovely plants with beautiful flowers and with leaves laced with cyanide that the butterflies incorporate into their bodies and warn potential predators with their bright, showy colors that they're not good to eat. So hence the name of the company, which is Heliconius Butterfly Works, and a wide variety of species and forms are really the backbone of what we do, although we're continuing to experiment with other species native to Ecuador. Our farm is located in the valley of Mindo, which is in northwest Ecuador. We're at mid-elevation, about 1,500 meters above sea level. That's about 5,000 feet, which in the tropics is certainly not high and cold. We're sort of in the transition between the tropical lowlands and the cloud forest. The farm is comprised of areas of crops outside, outdoors, planted in the field, which we use to feed the butterflies. Flight areas, like where we are right now, where we keep the adult butterflies, give them the nectar plants that they need to feed, and the host plants that they need to lay their eggs on and will eventually feed their caterpillars. We've got a fairly large greenhouse where we raise a large number of passion vines primarily, which we use to feed the larvae when they emerge. And the whole cycle ends with the pupa, which we harvest on a weekly basis and send to a variety of clients in the US and Europe, butterfly houses throughout the US and a few that we're starting to deal with in Europe. And some of them we always keep here. Some of the pupa are always retained here to restock. So we've got pretty much a closed cycle, a sustainable system where we originally had to go to the forest for the parent stock, but from there on in we can just keep working from those original parents and keep restocking the flight areas. Mindo is an interesting place in that the economy, which used to be based primarily on logging and cattle grazing basically, which are obviously activities that aren't particularly compatible with protecting the forest. Mindo has moved to an economy based much more on ecotourism. This is a mecca for bird watchers, one of the biological hotspots of Latin America, or the Western Hemisphere really. And more over the last 10 years, Mindo's economy has moved towards ecotourism. And we see what we're doing, although we're not directly open to the public as a facility, we see what we're doing as something that's compatible with that broader change in Mindo, something that provides employment opportunities for local communities in a way that's compatible with conserving the forest. So we've got 10 people working for us. It's 10 families that are deriving their livelihoods in a way that's completely compatible with conserving nature, preserving the forest. And I think that's a pretty positive impact. Butterfly farming in general is not an easy or straightforward business. Nobody's really written the book on how to raise butterflies. There's not a lot of information out there. What we do is piece together from what information is available from the research of biologists, from observation in the field, how do butterflies behave, what is their natural history, trial and error, unfortunately a lot more of the latter sometimes than the former, and also exchange of information between people that are involved in the same activities, both in butterfly conservatories in the US and Europe and other farmers here in the tropics. Ecuador is actually a good place to raise butterflies in a lot of ways. One, obviously, is it's a place with a phenomenal natural diversity. In terms of the biological richness of the country, there are few places in the world that compare. And in the last few years, the Ecuadorian government, particularly the Ministry of the Environment, has been fairly supportive of trying to develop alternatives like butterfly farming that, again, are viable economic options instead of felling the forest, instead of deforesting. So we've actually had a very good supportive and collaborative role with the Ecuadorian authorities who have seen this as something positive, and things like this is something that hopefully will in the long term provide alternatives and solutions for Ecuador that are both economically sound and environmentally sound.